Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari.
Hare Krishna. Today we are going to talk about a very, very special book by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, that is On the Way to Krishna. As the name itself suggests, this shows us the way towards the Supreme Lord, Krishna's lotus feet. This is one of the first books that I ever read in ISKCON almost 20 years back as a student of Masters in Bangalore. So this book was first published in, I think, 1973 by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. At the time, Srila Prabhupada has already published Bhagavad-gita as it is, and he was also involved in spreading Krishna consciousness worldwide. But still, Prabhupada wrote this beautiful small book On the Way to Krishna, which presents the essence of Bhagavad-gita. This book has 5 chapters, and these 5 chapters describe the essence of Bhagavad-gita by quoting so many crucial, vital shlokas of Bhagavad-gita, and it is meant for everyone. Children can read it, adults can read it, any new seekers can read it, and seasoned devotees also can read it. And it came at a time when thousands of people in the West were searching for the meaning beyond material success. And Prabhupada gave them a very clear and practical way to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Now let's briefly look at the contents of this book. So this book has 5 chapters. The first chapter is Throughway to Happiness. So in this chapter, Prabhupada speaks, real happiness is not in material things. It comes from when we connect with Krishna, when we connect our soul with the Supreme Lord Krishna. The second chapter, the way of chanting and knowing Krishna. In this chapter, Prabhupada describes the glory of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He says that this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the most powerful tool to purify our hearts and awaken our real spiritual identities. Then third chapter, seeing Krishna everywhere and always. And this chapter teaches us how to see Krishna in water, in sunlight, in sound, in every aspect of life. Basically, in this chapter, Prabhupada quotes the shlokas from the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. We'll discuss it more. Then 4th chapter, the roads of the foolish and the wise. Prabhupada describes why we should surrender to Krishna. What happens if we don't surrender to Krishna? Surrendering to Krishna is the only way to cross illusion. He describes about various kinds of people who take shelter of Krishna and who don't take shelter of Krishna. Then 5th, last chapter, steering towards the Supreme. The final destination of life is going back to Godhead. And the way to attain that goal is hearing about the Lord, chanting His names, and serving and worshipping Him. So these are presented in the 5th chapter. To go a little deeper into these chapters, the first chapter, Throughway to Happiness, describes that all of us are searching for happiness. But real happiness is not found in any temporary pleasures based on body and senses. The real spiritual happiness comes when the soul is connected to Krishna. Material enjoyment is like chewing a bamboo stick, but spiritual enjoyment is like tasting sugar cane. A bamboo stick and a sugar cane both may look similar, but if you try to squeeze juice from a bamboo stick, you will not get anything, right? So only by practicing Krishna consciousness, we can taste real, eternal, spiritual happiness, and we will transcend the problems of life. And the 2nd chapter of this book describes the way of chanting and knowing Krishna. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the easiest way to purify our hearts. Chanting cleanses the dust from the mirror of our heart. Cheto darpanam arjanam. And chanting establishes our eternal connection with Krishna and re-establishes us in our original spiritual glory as servants of Krishna. So Prabhupada describes the glory of chanting in the 2nd chapter. He also quotes several beautiful shlokas like Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha. Knowing the glory of Krishna's birth and activities is a way to reach Krishna. Then in the 3rd chapter, Prabhupada speaks about seeing Krishna everywhere. Basically, this chapter is one of my favorite chapters where Prabhupada tells us how we can be Krishna conscious in our day-to-day life. Prabhupada quotes some shlokas from the 7th chapter of Gita. Rasohamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashisuryayoh. Rasohamapsu kaunteya means Krishna is the taste of water. Prabhasmi shashisuryayoh means Krishna is the light of the sun and the moon. Krishna is the sound in the ether. And punyo gandha prativyamcha, Krishna is the fragrance of the earth And Balam Balavatam Chaham, Krishna is the strength of the strong, he is the intelligence of the wise people. In this way, Krishna is everything. Krishna is in every nook and corner of the entire universe. Without him, nothing functions. And by recognizing all these signs, as described in the 7th chapter and even 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, we will be able to see Krishna everywhere. Although we need developed spiritual senses to practically see Krishna everywhere, but we can feel the presence of Krishna by remembering what Prabhupada has written in 3rd chapter of this book. Then 4th chapter, Krishna talks about different types of people who approach Krishna. We know that Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jignasur artharthi gnani cha bharatarshabha. 4 types of people, they approach Krishna. Of course, in that same chapter, Krishna also speaks about 4 types of people who reject him out of pride, out of illusion, out of atheism, right? So Prabhupada talks about that also. Namam dushkritino modha prapadyante naradhamaha. Prabhupada describes that shloka also. In this way, Prabhupada describes the destinations and the natures of people who approach Krishna and who reject Krishna, who take shelter of Krishna and who don't take shelter of Krishna. So we should try our best to come closer to Krishna by the path of pure bhakti. Although Prabhupada writes about these 4 types of people, Artha means one who is distressed, Jignasu, one who is curious, and Artharthi, one who wants money, Gnani means one who is wise. These are the 4 types of people who approach Krishna, but these 4 are not the best devotees, but very good. At least for some reason they have come to Krishna. They are magnanimous souls. Krishna glorifies. But the best devotee is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janah Paryupasate, one who comes to Krishna with absolutely no other expectations. So we need to come to that bhakti. So all that inspiration we can get from the 4th chapter. Then in the 5th chapter, which is the last chapter, Prabhupada speaks about steering towards the Supreme. Even those who come to Krishna with material motives are purified. What to speak of someone who comes to Krishna without any material motives, with complete selfless service attitude, knowing that Krishna is the cause of all causes and surrenders to Krishna wholeheartedly. Real love of God is free from lust and selfishness. Krishna explains that these worshippers of different devatas, they receive temporary benefits, but those who worship him attain him in the spiritual kingdom. The true goal of human life is to go there. That is why this book is called On the Way to Krishna. So, in short, chapter 1 of this book discusses that real happiness is spiritual. And chapter 2 discusses how chanting reveals our inner eternal self. Chapter 3 describes how to see Krishna in everything. Chapter 4 describes that wise people surrender to Krishna, but foolish people don't. Then the last chapter describes loving Krishna leads us back to Godhead. So this book is very important to give a very, very crisp yet comprehensive understanding in just 74 pages. Very small book. So even today also, people who are running behind power, influence, pleasure, money, yet they are so depressed and lonely and empty. So even such people can take shelter of this book. The essence of Bhagavad-gita is presented in very short. Gita has 700 shlokas. Prabhupada quotes maybe 15, 20 or a little more than this number. Those many shlokas Prabhupada quotes in this book, and he very beautifully conveys an important message that we need to take shelter of Krishna, on the way to Krishna. So if we ever feel lost in the busy roads of this world, just take this little book, On the Way to Krishna. Even the title itself is so attractive. In fact, I was attracted to this title, On the Way to Krishna. 20 years back in my student life, had another picture of Krishna. This picture is very beautiful, no doubt. But there we had another picture of Krishna, not full form, only up to his waist. And Krishna's face is visible so nicely. I don't have that version now. So there I could see Krishna's face. That is one of my favorite paintings of ISKCON. So I was so attracted to that beautiful picture, and I was attracted to this name. And I took that book. It was hardly 10 rupees at that time. Maybe around 19-20 years back. So I read that thoroughly, and definitely that book, along with few other small books of Prabhupada like Sense of Self-Realization, Coming Back, Beyond Birth and Death, so they gave me some basic understanding of the Krishna conscious philosophy in those days. eventually I started reading Bhagavad-gita and later Srimad Bhagavatam and all the books written by Srila Prabhupada. So I feel myself very fortunate to have come in contact with this beautiful book, On the Way to Krishna, in the very beginning days of my Krishna consciousness, and that definitely helped me on my way to Krishna all these 19 years, 20 years. So I'm very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us the treasure of his wisdom in the form of these small books and big books. and the big books have shlokas, direct shlokas from the scriptures, word-to-word meanings, translation, and elaborate purports. But these small books, they're like small essays or articles. You can just read them in one sitting, or in 1 or 2 days you can complete it. But if you have just a couple of hours, you can just sit in one corner and then complete this book also. But although you can complete reading the book in few hours, it takes a whole lifetime to apply these principles. So it's not like a one-time read. You can repeatedly read it, relish it, repeat it to others, and inspire them to also take shelter of these messages. So I'm very grateful to the Ministry of Education of ISKCON for asking me to speak a few words, my realizations and experiences with this book. I shared my bit. There is much more to share, but I'll conclude now. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I offer my humble obeisances to all the devotees who are nourishing me and many other devotees in their Krishna consciousness. And I'm eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this treasure house of wisdom in the form of his books. I'm eternally indebted to him. Whatever I know about Krishna consciousness is primarily based on what I read from Srila Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.